Allison Angus, and I'm going to talk about the IntelliCAD documentation. Just for a few moments, the main objective is to make sure everyone knows what's available for documentation. So I'm going to go through that, but also I kind of want to talk about what ideas people have and make sure if you have ideas for the future for not just documentation, but sort of the overall customer experience or customer communication, you might think of it. There's documentation, but there's also, you can think of it more broadly as just learning and how to, the objective maybe is to cut down on technical support, things like that. So we're open to different ideas and what members need. So just a brief overview of the deliverables. We have a PDF file that is about 800 pages, just actually almost 900 pages. And we also have a CHM help file. The CHM files are all help files that are integrated into the IntelliCAD program. There's a command reference, a system variable help file. We also do the README file. That's pretty easily customizable for members if they want to. In addition to those help files, we also have the developer reference help files. So those are for the APIs, and you can see all the different APIs that are documented. For whatever current release we're working on with the ODA libraries, we use their same help files and integrate those. And the rest of them we deliver, except for the .NET one that's donated by an ITC member. So those are all available. And you'd think maybe the documentation team was done with that, but we're not, because we generate several additional files for the standard version. So we go through and create a PDF file for professional and a second one for standard that doesn't have certain components in it, like ASIS documentation or VBA and the SIGs. And then we generate that again for the help file for using IntelliCAD, command reference, and the developer reference is pretty easy to do for standard. We just omit the VBA portion. So you think we might be done, but we're still not done with what we deliver. We also delivered the source files for all of the documentation. So that includes FrameMaker files for the PDFs and RoboHelp projects for the help systems. We also have started packaging just kind of the basic help system files so that they're easily customizable. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. The images are all available. There's also a Doxygen project that we use to automatically generate API documentation for IRX. And also there's a DocumentX project for the COM API documentation. As far as I know, nobody's doing anything with those but us, those last two. So we're still not done with what we deliver for documentation. Just in case it's a good overview, the user interface SIG documentation, that's included in the professional versions that we produce for documentation. Also the BIM SIG, all the AEC stuff you just saw just a minute ago, attaching Revit files, IFC files, that's all included in the professional version of the documentation. And then we're also generating DGN documentation. That's a little separate, and that usually comes out about a month after each release right now, just how we're balancing resources. And the mobile SIG doesn't have documentation deliverables right now. So who's working on all this documentation? Myself and Marina Moscovina. She's amazing. And I also want to say that the whole ITC team is also working on documentation. Every time we have a new feature that that's being implemented in the software, we're working closely with a developer who's developing it and getting feedback on the documentation. Also, there's a review process. Dave is involved in the documentation. He's an invaluable resource. And then also, members are really also involved in our documentation process. We get requests from members how to make the process easier for them, and it's always welcome. It's actually really exciting. So you can tell we're pretty passionate about text and writing and making sure it's really good. And so we have some communication with members that's really helpful to make sure that what we're delivering is what they need. So just a few words on customization to make sure people know kind of the general options. So a quick word, this is where the files are located in Subversion. And then we also have a writer's guide. It has some different sections in it about what we do just to document our process, but also it has some details about how to customize the documentation. And then as far as we know, there are only two ways that people can go about customizing the documentation for their own products. Some people just take the IntelliCAD files that we generate and kind of merge them into their product and add on top of it. We use the Adobe Technical Communication Suite. It's expensive. We've been using the same version, I think, for about 10 years, and we're looking to upgrade that in the fall. But we also realize that's an expensive endeavor, even buying RoboHelp separately. If you're just wanting to customize the help files, that can be expensive. So we were approached by a member to come up with some basic files that would be easy to customize. So now we have kind of a big zip file for each help file, so one for using IntelliCAD, one for the command reference, etc. And those files are specially designed to just unzip the file, and those files can be compiled with the Microsoft HTML Help Workshop. So that would be the help, and another option is for the PDF to search and replace brand names. But if anybody has other ideas about what they're doing for customization or how we can improve that process, that would be great to hear. So just a quick word about making it better. Sometimes members will log bugs, also QA, of course, for documentation. And so I just encourage anybody to log a bug in Bugzilla. If it's an easy fix, it's like that's easy to get in for the next release. Sometimes people will log a bug, like one area in particular needs more thorough documentation. That might take a little bit longer. The other thing I really want to encourage is you can also email Marina or myself, but not just about bugs for current documentation, but any ideas you have about something that would help members with your products. And I just want to mention that, so yesterday I got talking with somebody about videos. They do videos for their documentation. And I was thinking about it and like, oh, well, how could we do that? Because we're not really in contact with the end users, but I was thinking about it. And then later in the day, somebody else mentioned, hey, well, what do we have for videos? Because now the start page is going to be able to link to videos. And right now we have videos that Natalia's done for different releases. But so it's a connection of ideas that people are sharing, and it's really helpful. So any ideas you have that would help make your customer experience better, and then hopefully therefore cut down on technical support, we'd be really excited to hear those ideas. And then also to tie back in with Dave Lorenzo was saying earlier this morning about digital platforms. That experience can look a lot different than PDFs and help files. So it's good for us to be thinking about what the future of something like that might look like. And I don't know today what that might look like, but I'm pretty excited to find out. So does anyone have any questions?